Booker the drive, gets inside, leans in, knocked away and stolen by Holiday. Phoenix has to foul, and a Pelican ball throws it down. And a foul. Giannis on the alley-oop. What a turn.
Guys, this right here is what Jrue Holiday does. He's a winner that simply finds a way to make winning plays no matter what. He doesn't care about the glory, he doesn't care about the spotlight. All Jrue cares about is winning. I'd say that Jrue was one of the unsung heroes of that infamous Bucks finals run, but I think that at this point in time, everybody knows how vital the role that he played during that run was. Against all odds, the Milwaukee Bucks hit the jackpot when they traded for Jrue Holiday. And I have to say that this is something that I absolutely called happening before there ever was any motion on a Jrue Holiday trade. If you don't believe me, just check out the tweet on the screen right now. As a Pelicans fan, the Jrue Holiday trade hurt, but at the same time I understood that after 7 long years that it was time for us to both go our separate ways. The Pelicans were a young team that was still trying to figure everything out, and Jrue, he was a vet that never took a night off, that was ready to win now. So as I said earlier, Milwaukee hit the jackpot trading for Jrue Holiday, but let's go over exactly what they had to give up to get him. The Milwaukee Bucks essentially got Jrue Holiday for George Hill, Eric Bledsoe, the 24th pick in the 2020 NBA draft, a 2025 unprotected pick, a 2027 unprotected pick, and the rights to swap first-round picks in 2024 and 2026. I want you guys to remember this all, because I'm going to reference it again later in the video. So at the time, what the Pelicans got back for Jrue felt like a ton, and then Giannis signed that extension shortly after the trade, and all of that uncertainty that was surrounding Giannis vanished. Giannis re-signing would significantly sink the value of those swaps and picks that the Pelicans were owed. But regardless of what any of those picks ever would have turned into, the Holiday trade was always going to be worth it for Milwaukee. The Bucks were rationally aggressive and it paid off big. They bet on Giannis and themselves and won a championship in the process. And now they're trying to do the exact same thing again. But this time, there will be no Jrue Holiday. The good news is that Jrue and the Bucks already got their championship. The bad news is that still Jrue Holiday won't be a part of any Bucks championship runs in the near future since he was involved in that infamous trade that brought Damian Lillard all the way to Milwaukee. Which I kind of feel bad for Jrue, because if he had things his way, he would have never left that situation in Milwaukee. Check this out. When Jrue was initially traded to the Milwaukee Bucks, he said himself that New Orleans did him right and that just being in Milwaukee was a blessing from God. In fact, right before that huge Damian Lillard trade that just went down, he'd say that before I even won here, I think that I said that I'm a Buck for life. And I mean that like deep in my heart. I don't want to play for any other team. I think we have a chance to continue to do great things as the Bucks team and organization. So I want to be in Milwaukee. Now, surely Giannis had to sign off of a move of this stature happening for the Bucks, right? Not a chance. According to Woj, the Bucks GM didn't involve Giannis in any talks, all because Jrue was involved. That is tough, but business is business, and without a doubt, their brotherhood will live on. So once Jrue arrived in Portland, everybody knew that he wouldn't be there long, as Portland has been in full asset acquisition mode trying to improve their future outlook at all costs. With multiple contenders having a high level of interest in Jrue, ultimately the Boston Celtics of all teams would be the ones who would decide to pull the trigger. Let's go over what the Boston Celtics gave up to get Jrue Holiday. For Jrue Holiday, the Portland Trail Blazers would receive Robert Williams, Malcolm Brogdon, a 2024 protected first-round pick, and an unprotected 2029 first-round pick. As good as a 33-year-old Jrue Holiday is, that is quite the return for the Portland Trail Blazers. And we all know that this team isn't done dealing. Now compare this haul to what the Pelicans got back for Jrue earlier in the video and let me know which trade that you guys would prefer. Which, either way, it's impressive for both Jrue and Portland that there's even a potential discussion that can be had there. Now mind you that Malcolm Brogdon and Robert Williams are also really good high-level role players who, just like Jrue, can instantly help out any contender. I think that some people are actually sleeping on how good these two are. Brogdon shot almost 45% from 3 last season and averaged 14.9 points per game in a limited role, and the year before that, he averaged 20 points per game while being capable of being a high-level defender. As for Rob Williams, this guy's only issue is health. He's your prototypical lob threat / dunker spot center that can dominate a game without touching the ball. If you let him play freely on defense, he'll yet again be one of the best roamers in the entire NBA. While Blazers GM Joe Cronin has expressed a desire to keep Brogdon for the short term, saying that his young roster will need some guidance, I would really love to see the Mavericks be aggressive players for either Brogdon or Rob, but especially Rob. Look, I'm sorry, I know I got a little excited, but could you imagine Rob Williams on the Dallas Mavericks? This man would fit like a puzzle piece in Dallas. The Mavericks need a defensive big that can rebound, and not only does Rob do both of those things, but he also shot 74.7% from the field last season. If he shot that playing with the Celtics, what in the world is he going to shoot playing with Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks? I think that Luka could make me an NBA level threat in the pick and roll. Again, I'm sorry guys, I would just really love to see the Time Lord in Dallas. So as I said in my last video, whatever the Blazers got for Drew was always going to make any Damian Lillard trade look infinitely better. Did I anticipate the trade looking this much better? I can't say that I did. What's hilarious about all of this is that in trading Jrue Holiday, the Blazers were really able to stick it to the Heat one more time. Not only did they fuel another contender, but they also apparently denied a significant offer that the Heat had made for Jrue Holiday in the process. That right there is brutal. What the Portland Trail Blazers have done to the Miami Heat, I wouldn't want to do to my worst enemy. Jokes aside, as I said in my last video, it's really hard to be mad at the Blazers haul. The Blazers have been able to essentially turn Yusuf Nurkic and Damian Lillard into DeAndre Ayton, Robert Williams, Malcolm Brogdon, Toumani Camara, one top 4 protected first round pick, 2 unprotected first round picks, and 2 unprotected pick swaps. Regardless of any way that I've felt and still feel about any potential offers that the Heat would have been able to put together, I can admit that this return is legit and a great starting point for Portland's rebuild. If I am Scoot Henderson, I'm feeling as if I couldn't be walking into a much better situation. Now, although I do feel like the Celtics did pay an expensive price for Jrue, as I say, I do understand that when the opportunity is there that you have to take it. The Celtics saw that opportunity and they seized it while their young duo of Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are still in their early primes. While you never want to lose your emotional leader and pass DPOY and Marcus Smart, replacing him with Jrue is undoubtedly an upgrade. I know it's hard to replicate what Marcus Smart brings to the table defensively, but if there's any guy that can do it, it's Jrue Holiday. In fact, Kevin Durant calls Jrue Holiday the best guard defender in the league, and it just so happens that that might come in handy in the Eastern Conference. Somebody remind me who the Bucks just got again and who Drew's best individual playoff series was against? Damian Lillard probably still has nightmares about that series to this day. Now, on top of being a comparable defender to Marcus Smart, Jrue is also much more of a natural ball handler and facilitator, who just overall has a deeper bag as evidenced by the 19.3 points that he averaged this past season. Jrue also happens to be much more efficient and shot 38.4% from deep last season. Out of respect for Jrue, we're not going to talk about that fluctuating playoff efficiency, but you'd have to think that my man is due for a bump soon. While we're on the topic of ball handling, apparently the Celtics are planning on playing Tatum much more at point guard this season. Now remember that in trading Marcus Smart, the Celtics were able to land an all-star level talent in Kristaps Porzingis, who played 65 games last season, which is very impressive for Kristaps. Kristaps hadn't played at least 65 games since his 2016-2017 sophomore season in New York. Not only did Kristaps play in 65 games this past year, he looked good doing it en route to averaging a career high of 23.2 points and 8.4 boards. Kristaps might not be Rob Williams defensively, but that's okay, because just like Rob Williams, he can also put a lid on the basket. And unlike Rob Williams, this man can stretch you out to the logo, which at 7'3" should not be legal. Kristaps shooting is going to be so much fun for a Celtics team that has the ability to play really big. A lot of people don't know this, but the Celtics signed a 6'9" point guard that is loaded with potential this offseason. Admittedly, I'm higher on Delano Banton than most, but I just have this feeling that he's going to be really good, and I love the idea of him learning under Drew Holiday, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown. I also love the defensive monster that the Celtics drafted this past year, who was going off in the summer league looking like the next Tatum, Jordan Walsh, learning under these guys too. I think that Celtics fans are going to love me for this video because I'm kind of sounding like a Celtics fan, but the reality is that I'm just really excited about your team and some of your young talent. If anybody wants a Celtics deep dive, just let me know down in the comments and I will definitely try to bring that to the channel as soon as possible. What's scary for the Bucks and the rest of the NBA is that while the Celtics got a lot better this offseason, according to Brad Stevens, who's the president of basketball operations for the Celtics, this team isn't even done making moves. Guys, in the comments below, let me know what you think of the Celtics offseason. Am I gassing them up too much? Did they give up too much in the Drew Holiday trade? Can you see them coming out of the Eastern Conference? In my last video, I had the Bucks as my favorite to come out of the Eastern Conference, and even though the Celtics got a lot better, I think that I'm going to stick to that right now. But again, that might change. Guys, clicking the video on the screen right now is a great way to support my channel. I'm GetLikeCoop, bringing you guys the scoop until our next upload.